So we're back working on the boat again today. This piece down here, this hole, this is my main project again because I need to be able to live on this, and if I'm living on it, it can only be in the marina where I'm going. So that's the float. So I'm working on this big massive hole, and not quite sure where I was last time on this, but here's the hole with the patch in it. So what I did was I took the old, let me put the light on, excuse me for a second. I got all of the old crap out of here, all of it. You can see there's some wood grain that's been put into the epoxy. We can see how great this patch job was that was on here. All of these holes, it's not good. You have holes like that, spots that aren't laminated, basically you're limiting the integrity of your glue job. It's gluing. That's what it is. Paper mache extreme. That's what is going on here with fiberglass. That's all it is. Except plastic, of course, and glass. So this is the hole. Ripped it out. I took all the stuff out of there, feathered it out on the outside, and then because the hole is so big, I don't have anything to be a backer for the fiberglass, so I put tape across, just regular plain old duct tape, put it across the back so that the glass had something to sit against while it laid up. Then from the outside, started fiberglassing. So I did 3 layers, CSM, and then biaxial, and then CSM. If you don't know what that stuff is, this is the Extreme DIY channel, and I recommend you go look that up. So there's 3 layers of fiberglass on there right now. And these darker spots, like here, the tape didn't lay on quite as flat as I wanted it to, or it was flat from the inside, even from here it looked flat. But from the outside, I wasn't able to lay the glass down flat against the tape, and or from putting the glass on, it warped the tape a little bit, maybe from the chemicals, I don't know. So there are ripples in this. Is that a big deal? No. The brown spots there, I used the Bondo glass-filled putty to kind of flatten it out from the outside there. I put that in the deeper holes so that my next layer of fiberglass has a nice flat layer to go down on. I'm going to put probably 2 more layers on top of that on the outside. Obviously sand it down first. I'm probably going to do another layer of biaxial for strength, and then a layer of CSM on top of that, and then just putty it flat, fair it in. On the inside here, because we're working with 2 holes, there's an outer hull and an inner hull. The previous owner had cut away the inner hull to make this patch job, and then the patch job was too thick, so he couldn't put the old piece back in. So luckily they kept it, which is fantastic. I don't have to glass in this whole area in a complicated way. So you can see on the edges here, I went ahead with the sander, some 60 grit, and put a bevel on the corner all the way around. That's step number 1. So then the piece from the inside that they cut out, I also have that in here, ready to go. This was their job. I guess to stop the crack from splitting any further, before taking the inside bit out, they just went at it with a drill and drilled out the crack. This was probably, judging from the direction of the crack, probably hit a pylon next to a pier. Maybe their bumper busted in a storm or something. But it looks like they just hit a pile in a pier. So this piece, luckily, I don't have to replace it. I'm going to use this and put it back into place. Around the edge of it, I did the same thing that I did on the attached piece to the hull. It has a hole cut out, so that on both sides we have a feathered 45-degree slot, basically. And I tried to do it on this area. It doesn't have to be on this area that beveled, because I'm going to be filling that. It's not a big span. That's the idea here. If you go over a large span, you're not going to be able to use that putty. So I'm not going to glass in here with the layers of fabric. I'm going to glass in here with the putty. You might say to yourself, well, there's nothing behind it. How are you going to do that? Well, that's the next part. I have this, and this is how I'm going to get it back in place and laid up flat and even with the old piece. I have these wood pieces screwed in here with these screws. Like that. They can stick through a little bit. I chose shorter screws so they wouldn't go through the outside hull, and I wouldn't have to patch job that again. Because when you take these screws out, you're still going to have the hole in there. And then, you just hit that with a countersink drill bit, fan it out just with a drill inside the hole, and then putty it. Good to go. So these pieces, and I haven't checked this yet, I guess I should have, before I start making an ass out of myself on a video in front of the entire world. But that's upside down. Yep, upside down. Like this. This piece will go in here, hopefully, and lay nice and flat in place where it came from. Like that. Kind of hard to line up with one hand, but you get the idea. So I'll line it up in here. It's laying nice and flat against the inner hull. I'm going to want to drill pilot holes through this so that the screws go in nice and easily, and make sure these pieces of wood are flat against here and flat against here, and then it's fair with the way that it was. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to use this hole that's already existing, but in this area I'm going to drill a couple holes. We're going to line this with a bunch of little drill holes, only through the first layer, and we're going to get spray foam and spray it in between. Maybe some in these cracks if I can fit it in there. That's going to, what it's going to do is expand. This is after it's screwed in. It's going to expand, obviously. It's going to push against the outer hole and push against this piece and give it a nice sturdy core inside. So we're going to inject foam to make a foam core on this piece, and it'll firm it up quite nicely. I might do this for a bunch of other spots on the hull. I don't know. Probably don't want to do it waterborne in case you send the drill bit through the outer hole while you're floating. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to shore up the inner hull and the outer hull. Get a little more reinforcement. So then once the foam is in there, obviously we're going to have some like poking out of these holes. You just go back and knock it off. It's just foam. Knock it off and, sand it out, whatever. Something will be sticking out of there. Same deal. Scrape it out. Then you go back with the putty and just putty it in. Putty in all the holes. Once it's all puttied in, where I can, because there'd be wood in the way, take the wood pieces off, do the remaining pieces, remaining spots, do the countersink hole trick, do the screw holes with the countersinks, fan them out, fill those with putty, you're done. Sand it off. Make it fair it in with a sander, and then that's it. And then this will be all done. I will fix my hole the right way. This is how, I mean, it's no Boatworks Today project, but this Hillbilly Matt Extreme DIY. We got some Hillbilly Mountain Man skills here. That's what we're doing. We're using cheap Bondo from the auto parts store and a Bondo fiberglass, not the Bondo filler. Which is polyester resin, and that's what these boats are made out of, and you can put polyester on top of polyester, so it's absolutely okay. No problems whatsoever. But again, you're doing fiberglass, so prep work is key. So yeah, this is the way, if they were going to go cheap and try to fix it on their own, this is the way you would want to do something like this. Unlike how they did it. They didn't even have to go ahead and drill through it. That was step one that they did wrong. Drilling through it. Step one problem. To go through both holes. They didn't have to do that at all. Maybe they were just doing it to survey. But if you're going to do that, cut off the whole panel where it's at. Maybe drill one hole through it. that you can fix easily with some putty. And then you know where the crack is. So then cut around the crack, and you have a much smaller job to do. But this easily could have been taken care of with a sander from the outside. Flop disc, grind out the crack, fill the crack back in. Way easier than what I'm doing right now. And probably would have been much cheaper. So what I think happened to this boat was that crack happened next to a pier on a dock and flooded a bunch of water in here. And I'm pretty sure maybe this boat sank because a lot of the plywood is not in good shape. And if this boat is kept dry, the plywood should never be wet. They have a bilge pump in here that was wired up. It's no longer wired up. There's no electricity in here. They had to cut all of this out. My guess is that this was backed with plywood in here and that all rotted. So they cut that out. They were trying to figure out what went where, and they just did a complete hack job. Oh, Jesus. Ooh. Where is he at? Oh, there we go. I hit those. Shit. Pardon my language. Yeah, so they just did a hack job and pulled everything out. That's probably why these bulkheads came out. They were made out of wood. They probably got all rotted. Probably, again, because this boat sank. All along there, the trim, that was probably marine grade plywood, or probably not. It was probably just regular plywood, and it probably rotted. All that stuff. So I think that's why all of the wood has been ripped out of here. The drawers were destroyed. They were made out of plywood. They fell apart. Basically, the only parts that survived are the nice, like, teak trim pieces. And that was about it. So I think that's why I'm in the condition that I'm in. So, yeah, getting back to it. Just wanted to give you guys an update. Again, I'm not going to go through and show you me hours of fiberglassing and sanding, especially in these small holes. I don't have time for it. I wish I did. If I had Boatworks today time, I would do that. But, you know, once again, I recommend. He's the expert. He's the one that makes a living off of this. He puts food on the table, feeds his kids with that stuff. Go check out Andy's channel, Boatworks Today. Fantastic. You're going to learn how to do it much more better than the way that I'm doing it. It's the way the professionals do it professionally. I'm not a professional. I'm just trying to float my boat for a little bit of money. No big deal. Alright, so I hope you guys found this informative. I hope you guys have an outstanding day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm out.